Apparently, this has been out since like October of last year, and I'm just late getting to it, which sounds about right. And what's even worse is I don't get a cut off of this if you guys buy it, because you don't buy it. It's free on the MetaQuest store. This is a product of Quills, which, as I understand it, is an application that you and I can use to build hand-drawn VR animated experiences. And then this application is a way of experiencing it. And so what you have is a platform that outputs these non-interactive VR 360-degree experiences in story form. But like, I could make something, you could make something, and a lot of people have made things, and it makes for a very cool experience. We're gonna get into it. You guys are watching Bringhurst VR. I believe, and please don't quote me on this because homework, I don't do homework. Quills was always an application where you could create a cinematic VR experience and then output it to the world. And they always had an application to view that. But it was only recently that it kind of transitioned into this new Theater Elswhere application and kind of went mainstream. Here's the thing, I didn't buy this, I didn't download it. It's just on my headset, so I don't know if it's baked into new updates. Maybe you have it. Let me know in the comments. But now that I have it, now that I've tried it, I wanted to talk about it, and it's fascinating.
Welcome to Theater Elswhere, your go-to spot for animated adventures. Content can have multiple viewpoints, like different camera angles. See the two views here? Switch between them by tapping the square thumbnails or cycle through them with your controller thumbstick. When you're done, switch back to the first viewpoint and press continue to move on.
And some of them left me feeling meh, and some of them just blew my mind. The Into the Spider-Verse thing, which is clearly a fan-made just nod to the arts, is pretty cool. It's very short. It's so short. It's a bummer how short it is, but it's cool. It's more than 3D cinema. It really drops you in there. And there's a handful of things like this, kind of story-driven experiences that put you in the perspective of a watcher who just is there to kind of witness the unfolding of these different activities. And the camera will jump around to, bringing you into these perspectives that you need to be in from left to right. Probably a dozen different experiences. And in a lot of them, it kind of pans and shifts. And when important, when it must, kind of drops you down into the ground, and then that's a transition. It'll kind of thrust you into a new scene from a different perspective, and it continues telling the story in that way. I'm viewing videos based on the most watched, and so if a video has 200,000 views, then that's the one at the top of the list, and so I'm going down from there. So you can get down to something that has like 20,000 views down near the bottom, and you could find a gold mine down there. You could find something really amazing. But me, I was just I'm new to this, so I'm hanging out at the top. And my, oh my, up there. It makes me wonder, how hard would it be to create something like this? If you are a creator, if you've made one of these things, I would love for you to tell me in the comments. I want to know what it's like, because I'm kind of a whiz at Tilt Brush. I've never used Gravity Sketch. I've never used Quills. And it makes me wonder how different it might be. And is it keyframes? It has to be keyframes. I mean, how else do you animate something in an application like this? I want to know. This isn't me coming to you and saying, hey, this is everything to do with the app. This is how you use it. I have no idea, but I find it fascinating. And so I honestly, truly want to know more. And I have not gone doing a bunch of homework. It's a terrible way to kick off a video, but I don't want to go do homework. I want you to tell me if you know what this is, and if you've made something, and if you have, drop a link so that the rest of us can experience it, because it's fascinating. Some of these stories are truly moving. This thing was kicked off by a guy named Goro Fujita, and it looks like he had a start early on. You guys might remember this. I remember this. There was an experience called Henry and the Wolves in the Walls. That was back before Oculus was owned by Meta, and I recall that vividly. And so that kind of structure is very similar to all of this. Now, granted, you could take and do whatever you want with this. It seems very like open format. It's very fluid in how people put these different experiences together. But I find that that's when it's the best. That's when it's really wild. Following a character through a story, and as that person might take a turn and disappear down a hall, you shift and you're watching them come at you from a new perspective. And so this video is nothing more than me saying, I like this, this is cool. Tell me if you've built something and what is your experience like in using this. And now you're free to go back to these other creators who are telling you everything you want to know about everything, and I don't know nothing. Unless you found this content helpful and you want to subscribe, then that would be amazeballs. I'm you. I'm just having fun and telling stories and showing you what I find. And this is what I found. Thank you for being here. You guys have been watching Bringhurst VR. I really want to hear from you if you have experience with this, or if you have an experience that you've created. I would love for you to drop it down in the comments. Also, I have a website down below. This game is free, so never mind. But for every other game you might want, if it's from MetaQuest, you can access it via my website, and you will always save between 10 and 20% off depending on the time of the year. Now, that list I have, it's incomplete because I'm building it from scratch, but there is a button that you can click and I can instantly add it there, and you'll save the money and you'll be supporting my channel. And I'd like it very much if you checked it out. You guys have been watching Bringhurst VR. Thank you again. Godspeed. Okay, so I lied. I just went and did some homework and I looked at Quills, and it's amazing. I can't wait to jump into this. I'm going to share this video. It's like maybe 2 minutes long, and so if you want to skip this, scrub forward or follow the timestamps. But for those interested, this is what Quills is.
So the vision of Quill is to enable VR native entertainment, not just a movie that you see in 2 dimensions, but an actual immersive film experience. So like films, but using all the power of VR.
With version 2.0, Quill is becoming a self-contained storytelling tool. We're introducing a timeline that allows creators to create longer form animations and storytelling that was not possible before.
My favorite part about the 2.0 update is the animation timeline and your ability to hold frames and add keyframes and really animate in a 2D animation fashion, but in 3D space.
Animating with transform keyframes in 2.0 is much faster. For example, you could draw a train with traditional frame by frame, have the wheels turning and some static loops, and then take that entire animation, translate it very quickly with a couple of transform keyframes.
With the grab tool, you can draw and model your character, and once you have a model and with all of your details, you can use grab tool to pose it into different poses for your story, and that allows you to do frame-by-frame animation like you would in stop motion.
The stop feature in Quill 2.0 is a new concept we're introducing to take advantage of some of the unique characteristics of VR narratives.
I really wanted to make the audience be immersed in a comic book. So there are moments where the action is going to stop. Everything keeps alive. And then when you press the button, you can turn the page to the next scene.
I needed to have a film that had different audio sources on the different sides of the same building, so you couldn't have a person on one side of the building hearing the story on the other side. For that use, there was new cone audio sources that allowed people to hear different areas of the film, so every individual viewer can get its own audio experience within the same scene.
With the Quill 2.0 update, I can really take my animation skills to the next level. You can edit, you can cut, you can fade in and out. You have all the narrative tools that you would in traditional cinema, but in VR. It's amazing that you can now create the whole VR narrative experience within one software.
Anybody who's creative who tries it will understand immediately the benefit. And once creative people are there making stuff, then there'll be stuff for the rest of the world to come and see.